If you've ever worked with APIs or HTTP requests, you've probably seen the header authorization. And what you see in the header authorization isn't just a random strings of letters and numbers. These actually follow authentication schemes, and I'm going to explain to you what that means. In HTTP, when you send a request to a server, your authorization string isn't random. It actually follows a scheme. And this scheme is what tells the server how to interpret what you've sent. Some of the more common schemes you've probably seen before is basic, which is your username and password, and bearer, which is token-based access. Basic authentication is kind of the old school scheme. Here, the server just expects the username and password to be encoded in base64. And base64 is just a way of changing data into gibberish. Here is a header example of using basic, and this just looks like a lot of gibberish, but it actually is the username and password, and then the server can decode that. This way isn't as favorable anymore because one, it's risky to send your password in every request, and base64 is easy to decode if it is intercepted. And modern APIs mostly prefer tokens instead, which is what we're going to talk about next. You may have seen bearer tokens. Bearer tokens are what are most commonly used today. You can imagine you're logging into something and then the server returns a token which you can then use to access the API. It doesn't need your password every time, just the token. This is an example of a bearer token, and how it works is the server just sees if that token is valid, and then if it is, it grants you access to anything protected. And you've probably guessed this is better than basic because you're not repeatedly sending your password in every request. And also, tokens can expire or be revoked. Now, staying with bearer tokens for a second, you may have heard of JWT, which is a JSON Web Token. These are a special type of bearer token where it self-contains all the information that the server needs to verify whether you can access certain endpoints without having to look up that data in the database. As you can see, this example of a bearer JWT token is a lot longer, and it is separated into 3 parts. Each section is encoded in base64, and the first section just shows what algorithm was used to create the signature, which I'll explain in a minute, and also the type of token, in this case JWT. The second part of this token shows you the payload. This is the actual information that the server needs to decide what you have access to. So this would be the user ID, who it belongs to, and what permissions that user has, and also the expiry time of the token. And the third part is this signature. This signature was created when the server issued the token. And what it does to validate this signature is that the server takes the header and the payload and runs them through a special function. And if this spits out the same thing that looks exactly like the signature, then that verifies that that token is valid. So to recap, authentication schemes are how a server knows how to interpret what you're sending in the authorization header. Basic is the more old school way where it's just base64 encoded username and password. Bearer tokens are the more modern standard, and JWTs are the scalable self-contained tokens. And these are really important to be working with an API securely. I hope this video was helpful, and if you enjoyed it, I have a whole playlist on explainers which you'll probably like too, so check them out. But other than that, I'll see you next time. It's just come on, sit down. Oi, you're blocking my light, babe.